Yo, it's your guy Ben Duran, the illest film reviewer and fan in the galaxy, back again, and I'm hitting y'all off with another Throwback Thursday review, and this is going to be another of my DC marathon. I did Man of Steel, so now it's only where I do Batman versus Superman, so I'm just going to roll right into it. First off, just kicking it off. Ultimate Edition only, never the theatrical cut. Trash, garbage. Like the garbage that when people talk about Batman versus Superman being garbage, they're talking about the theatrical cut because the Ultimate Edition isn't bad at all. It's just I have my same issues with Lex Luthor, which I'll get to, but literally is how they arranged. They literally took his film and put scenes elsewhere that didn't make. They Frankenstein this guy's film, and like I kind of feel for him, especially later on with the Justice League debacle, which I'll talk about when I do my review of that film. Not looking forward to that. Sorry, guys. But yeah, so just gonna jump right into it. I love the intro of Bruce Wayne in this universe, showing Man of Steel from his perspective, the climax of Man of Steel. And wow, man, like it was dope. But the only thing I did not buy was the hatred, because throughout the rest of the film, you saw the hatred that Bruce had for Superman. It wasn't just like a cold calculated, like, this guy has the power to destroy us all, like he said in the film, but it wasn't calculated. That was just straight up Bruce wanted, he hated him for seeing the destruction he caused. But that hatred, in my opinion, came from out of nowhere. Like he made it personal and nothing personal happened to him, minus like a coworker dying, but you never hear him mention this guy again through the rest of the film. So for me, the hatred that Bruce had towards him was unfounded. And I would have added, I personally say I would have killed somebody off in the Bat family, like maybe like I'm not saying it had to be Barbara, but maybe like Barbara, after she retired from being Batgirl, the events of what is it called? The Joker storyline. I forget what it's called when he shoots Barbara and paralyzes her. But yeah, I would have. She was working in Wayne Tower when everything went down. Like that would have been cool to like. No, well, not cool, obviously. But it would have been sad. But I needed more to justify his hatred towards Superman, and I felt like we didn't get that. So, but it was refreshing to see Batman exposed to a situation that A, he hasn't seen before, and B, has no control over. And I felt like that was kind of where the hatred came from. It was like a man trying to come to terms that everything has changed, like just the grip on reality he had on the world. It kind of reminded me of when Oliver got exposed to aliens and everything, when he got kidnapped and he was treating Supergirl like a dick and everything, like, oh, I need you to stay away from me. You aliens are weird. It kind of reminded me of that, but done better here than in the CW DC universe. But yeah, so just the Batman introduction was just beautiful. And anybody that has seen this film will argue the first 30, 45 minutes of this film is amazing, and then it literally falls apart after that. I don't agree with that sentiment with the Ultimate Edition. So just moving on right along. They did Jimmy Olsen dirty, or they did him so dirty. They never even had a chance to flesh the character out, because although I didn't like the CIA aspect backgrounding of the character, it would have been dope to see him continue maybe spying on Superman, trying to figure out who he is, and that's why he becomes his best friend and everything, his best pal. But yeah, man, you just kill him off, and that was Snyder. Come on, man, what are you doing? And I like he had like a little Jack Ryan flavor to him too. They could, man, it would have been a welcome change for the character for me. So that was kind of that sucked to see. So, and just moving on again, I was talking about the introduction of Bruce Wayne at the top of the video, because Batman actually wasn't introduced until like 20 minutes into the film, I would say, after Superman goes into the Middle East and everything. But dog, that introduction of Batman, dude, that shit was fucking badass, man. Just the scene when you see the cop like trying to let the women out, they're like, yeah, we good in here, bro. He upstairs. We ain't trying, nah, we ain't with none of that. So that was cool, and just seeing it reminded me, it was very horror like how they introduced him, like just seeing them crawled up there on the wall, in the corner of the wall and everything. It was weird. It was weird and horrifying. If you were a cop, you were like, holy shit. If you were a criminal, you'd be even more afraid. But yeah, the Watchmen Easter egg. They had so many Watchmen Easter eggs throughout here. It was a couple more. Like I couldn't point them out. Like I believe they had the Who Watches the Watchmen and the bathroom scene when him and Superman were fighting at the end, and it was on there somewhere. I forget where it was. It was like a blink if you miss it. But the end is nigh sign was also there too. So, and I'm a person that believes they could cross over the Watchmen universe with DC. That would be dope to see live action. No, a lot of you didn't like the Jeff Johns thing and everything, so whatever. The score for this film, actually, no, I'll wait. I'll hold that till later. I'll talk about the score. Completely disappointed in Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor, man. Like, I get they were trying to go for the birthright version of Lex, but completely missed the mark, and to me missed the point of Lex. Lex is not a crazy irrational guy. Lex is kind of like Bruce Wayne in some sense. He's very calculated, and to me, like, a lot of iterations of Lex has missed the point in the core of the character. The core of the character, he hates Superman because Superman is literally like him being, I'm the human. I'm the exceptional human. I'm Superman. He's an alien. He's not from here. He's not one of us. Why do we worship somebody who's not one of us? And to me, it's kind of like a religious standpoint as well on how people like God worship. Like, we look up to God, we rely on God for so much. It's like, and Lex's whole thing is, no, we don't need God. We need to rely on ourselves. And that's, to me, that's a dope, interesting way to look at the character. And, none of the films has ever gotten it right. I would say Smallville kind of got it right, but you never really saw him fully form into Lex. Like, so yeah. They completely missed the mark with Jesse Eisenberg. His plan made no sense. It was just dumb. Yeah, so honestly, I'm just gonna be talking about Batman a lot on here because Batman it's Batman. Like, he's usually everybody's favorite part of the film, but Ben Affleck's iteration of the character is probably my favorite on-screen version because of how they just nailed the gothic noir feel of the character. Like, his iteration, it had the gothic feel of Burton, but the aesthetic of the Arkham series, and also a hint of like Bourne and the Daniel Craig Bond films. Like the aesthetic was just really dope. It felt like they literally dropped his Batman into the aesthetic of like Skyfall or something, or art, like Skyfall mixed with the Arkham series. That's what it felt like. Even like when he was driving the car, it kind of felt like Spectre a little bit in Skyfall and everything. So, not the Batmobile, like the car when he went to the dinner party, but the dinner party scene, I actually liked Lex in there, but it was just, I don't know. It was I definitely like Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill's the way, like, that was Batman and Superman outside of their costumes, the way I saw it. Definitely was. But just the conversation they had was just so, like, whack. Like, you had a moment to bring out ideologies, and you basically had them just throwing hollow points at each other and, snarky comments, and basically trying to be Marvel in this kind of brooding tone that they put forward. And it's like, that's also another issue I had and why Superman was so lackluster in this film. Because you notice I haven't been talking about him a lot. Very lackluster in this film. He walked, like, the whole time Henry Cavill walked around looking like he had to take a shit. I tell my friends that all the time every time we, talk about this film, because it's like, Cavill is a really good actor, man. From Man from Uncle to, he was even in Homeboy's movie. What is his name? I'm forgetting the director of Kingsman. I always forget his Matthew Vaughn. He was in one of Matthew Vaughn's films earlier, like a little small role with Charlie Cox in it. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on these films. Like, I usually remember films like that. I'm getting old, I guess. But the little scene he had in that film, he was amazing. But him in The Witcher, dude, he completely blew me away in The Witcher. Like, I didn't think he could pull it off. And seeing Man from Uncle, I don't know why I didn't think he could pull it off. He's a charismatic dude. He has literally been up for most of the biggest roles in Hollywood. Like, he was supposed to be Bond, and he was supposed to be in Brandon Routh's Superman film, Bryan Singer's film. He was supposed to be Superman for that, but they went with Routh over Cavill, which was Cavill, which ended up being a good thing for Cavill because he came around playing the character later. But He has the potential to be such a great charismatic Superman, but in this film, Snyder just had him so dulled down and boring. And then, Justice League, we'll get to that, just butchered the character even more. But it's like I see it, and again, going back to the Man of Steel review, I love Amy Adams, her Superman. I love Diane Keaton's, her version of Martha Kent, not Diane Keaton. Oh my God, I'm sorry, I'm drawing blank. You know what, guys? Don't mind my pause. I'm gonna Google this woman's name because I always forget her name. The actress who plays Ma Kent. She's a really good actress, and I get mad at myself for drawing a blank on her name all the time. Hang on one second as I look this up, but I just love the universe they've built. Diane Lane, that's how I was thinking. I said Diane Keaton, Diane Lane. I love the Superman universe they built around him. I was really looking forward to the Batman universe, as we saw with the casting in his universe later on with Suicide Squad and Harley Quinn and Deadshot, Deathstroke. They casted Joe Manganiello, however you say his fucking name, even though he was revealed in Justice League. But they was starting to really build a dope cast of characters and actors around him. Like, that's one thing DC got right, was the casting, in my opinion. Even with Gal Gadot, like, I was not looking forward to her. I didn't think she was a good actress. I thought she was trash in the Fast and Furious movies, except for the last one. She was in Fast Five. She was really good in that one, and I just, didn't think she could pull it off, and she pulled it off. She was amazing. Wonder Woman is an amazing movie. I can't wait to do the review of that. I love that film so much, except for the third act. The third act of that film is. But back to Batman vs Superman. I'm just rambling, but. Yeah, to me, this film did Superman no justice, right down to the point of having Batman like beat him the way he did, and that's another thing I want to talk about: the action in this film. Now, the warehouse scene we're going to get to, but the whole fight between Batman and Superman, everything from just the choreography to how it went down, how eventually they got on this collision course towards each other, it just didn't resonate with me. It didn't make sense. It felt unearned. And it's like, literally, I'm not one of those people. You have some people that's like, we should have had like 4 movies to lead us up. We should have had like 4 movies to lead us up to this point where literally all we needed was a Batman movie. Like, show, they could have given us a longer, take of what happened to Batman after the events of Man of Steel, like directly after, and just did like a time jump in that Batman film, and boom, did Batman versus Superman. It was like, just, it didn't make sense. You feel me? Like, it felt very unearned. So, and then right down to, like, again, going back to Lex's plan, it was just like, it was taking a lot of logic leaps and just assuming that he knew certain things about these guys, and it was just weird. Like, and then like the conflict between them. Now, the most badass scene in this film is when they're having a standoff with each other, and Superman is like, "Oh, the bat's dead, bury it." He turns around, you just hear Batman go, "Do you bleed?" Superman looks at him like, "What, bro? Man, I'm out of here." "You will, dog." That was, and then I remember that from the first trailer, the teaser trailer they put out. I was like, "Oh my god, what a super dude nerd!" Like, "Oh, this is badass." Oh. Felt like I had a fucking pit bull neck from working out and shit. But yeah, the fight was so lackluster, except for certain parts of it was, and literally the ending part when he's dragging him. Those are the best parts of the fight, because it's like, it's more so just Batman talking shit. You feel me? Like, he done beat his ass, and now he gonna pop his shit like he should. Like I bet your parents told you to, like, the world only makes sense. Blah. The world only makes sense if you make it. I forgot exactly what he said, but just there, it was dope to see. But we cannot talk about that scene without, it's his mother's name. "Martha, why did you say that name? Why did you say that name?" It was like, oh my, really? You telling me the foundations of the Justice League, the cornerstones of the Justice League, the foundation of Batman and Superman's friendship and relationship, which is the foundation of the Justice League, is built because their moms have the same name. Pause. I'm going to insert crickets into this later. Like, what? What? He's holding a kryptonite spear to his throat. He just beat his ass all up and down this building, and now, like, you're going to stop because your moms have the same name? And I get it's not just a lot of people want to take it to that, just that face value. It's the whole aspect of Bruce, their moms, are having the same, their moms having the same name, but also more so Bruce seeing human characteristics within this guy. Like, he's a human. He's not just an alien. He's not some foreign species. He's a dude who has people that love him. He has a girl. He has a mom, so. And I get what they were going for, but it could have been executed better. And I feel like that's what most reasonable people like. If you hate this film, just not necessarily saying if you hate this film, you don't like Snyder, but you don't like his take on DC, and that's fine too. But I personally like it. I saw the great things in Man of Steel. I think Man of Steel is one of the best comic book films ever made. I think it's a top 10 comic book film if you ask me. But all in all, this film, man, because we're at like the 16, 17-minute mark. All in all, I thought this film was really, it reached for a lot. It took a lot of chances. It took a lot of risk. It was a very ballsy film for Snyder to make. And, at the end of it, didn't, do any favors for him for executing the rest of his idea. I might actually do a video about, his map and plan for the DCEU, because actually reading about it now would have been so amazing. But just I'm gonna hit some quick things about the end of the film. I like the fight with Doomsday. Did I like Doomsday? No, it was dumb. A lot of things in this movie was dumb. The introduction of Wonder Woman was badass though, like her actually in the costume and everything. I even like that costume better. She looked so metal, and then her theme, like the like, oh man, and that's another thing. Hans Zimmer, man, put his foot in this score, man. This is one of my favorite scores, like film scores of all time. I still listen to the score to this day, man. Like, oh my god, it's beautiful. Hans Zimmer he's probably the best composer to ever live, like ever. Like, oh my God, the guy's just a freaking genius, man. So that's another thing I love about this film a lot. And I felt like this was like Iron Man 2. So in conclusion, this Batman vs. Superman was like Iron Man 2, like on steroids, and how Iron Man 2 was trying to put the universe before the film itself. And Marvel learned their lesson from it. Unfortunately, DC did not, because the next film I will be reviewing and will be posting was Suicide Squad. And a lot of you are going to be mad about that review if you like Suicide Squad, because, I'm going to shit on that movie. When I do it, I'm shitting on that movie hard body. So, yeah, all in all, like I said, for Man of Steel, I wasn't reviewing films when it came out. So I'll just give you my fresh raw score after watching it. I give Batman versus Superman a 6.5 out of 10. Very enjoyable watch. And, like I said, to me, it's solid when you watch the director's cut, So yeah, as always, like, comment, subscribe, and share, and hop on the Facebook page and talk to me off wax. Let me know what you thought about the film, whether you thought it was trash, good, the best film ever. You let your family die. Like, that's more Jesse Eisenberg, Lex Luthor and inflections for you. But yeah, so like, comment, subscribe, and share, and as always, peace. Be easy, folks.